Arzu Imami, and I'm the host of The Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. If you skip these episodes, you won't get as much out of this and all subsequent episodes. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com. Today's episode is about the unique and often challenging world of being a highly sensitive parent, raising a highly sensitive child. This journey is distinct in many ways from the experience of non-highly sensitive parents. And today we're going to explore these differences and offer insights and strategies to help navigate this path. Then in the second part of the show, I'm honored to have my brother Pej Vahdat as my guest. Pej is a highly sensitive man, and he will be talking about his experience being a male with heightened sensitivity living in a country that frowns upon being sensitive as a man. So let's talk about highly sensitive parents and parenting a highly sensitive child. Highly sensitive individuals, both adults and children, experience the world more intensely. Their sensory processing is heightened, and they often react more deeply to both physical and emotional stimuli. This can include a strong reaction to loud noises, busy environments, emotional nuances, and even the moods of others. As we discussed in episode 1, there is a questionnaire that you can take to find out if you're a highly sensitive parent. And the 4 aspects of high sensitivity defined by Dr. Elaine Aron that we talked about in episode 1 is applicable to adults as well. So just as a reminder, the 4 aspects are depth of processing. This is when you think before you act. Number 2, being overstimulated. You get overwhelmed by the world around you. Empathy. You understand and share other people's feelings. But empathy for a highly sensitive person is like empathy on steroids. They feel so much more. And then number 4 is sensitive to subtle stimuli. You pick up on subtle changes. You might be sensitive to smells, light, texture, or noise. Remember that all 4 aspects must be present to have this personality trait. Many of us in this community identify as highly sensitive individuals. And as we know, being highly sensitive comes with its own set of strengths and sensitivities. But what happens when a highly sensitive parent is raising a highly sensitive child? How does it differ from the experiences of non-highly sensitive parents? Let's begin by acknowledging that the journey of parenting is filled with love, challenges, and learning opportunities, regardless of your sensitivity level. However, as a highly sensitive parent, we often find ourselves attuned to the unique needs of our highly sensitive children in ways that may differ from non-highly sensitive parents. For instance, our heightened sensitivity may lead to a deep understanding of our child's emotions and a keen awareness of their sensory sensitivities. We might intuitively create a calm and nurturing environment to help them thrive. The fact that we pick up on very subtle changes, we can detect when our child is reaching that point where they will get overwhelmed. and we can take preventative steps to help our child avoid reaching that point. Highly sensitive parents might find themselves more deeply affected by their child's emotions. This can be both a blessing and a challenge. On one hand, it allows for a deep empathetic connection, but on the other hand, it can lead to emotional exhaustion if not managed properly. Finding a harmonious balance between our needs and theirs is key. Learning emotional regulation strategies is crucial, and we will talk about that in a little bit. Self awareness is critical. As highly sensitive parents, recognizing and embracing our own sensitivities can be transformative. It enables us to empathize more deeply with our children and foster an environment of trust and understanding. Seeing your sensitivity as a gift rather than something to be ashamed of will help your child do the same. Also, when you see your sensitivity as a gift, you allow your light to shine. And when you see your sensitivity as something to be ashamed of or hide, then you dim your light. If you dim your light, others will follow suit. I went through this very painful experience myself when I started working at Dolby, which is my dream company. I always wanted to work for Dolby, and I was so excited to have landed my dream job at Dolby. But when I started, I had already been through at least 1 month of a very traumatic experience, which caused me to get ill. But at the time, I wasn't aware that I was sick. So when I joined Dolby, I was dealing with this leak that was going on in my home. And it was just a lot to handle. A lot was going on. Moving in and out of my house caused a lot of distress to me. So I started my job at Dolby, and on the third day, my boss told me, the project that you're assigned to, you need to release it in a month. And I was like, oh my God, this is craziness. I haven't even gone through the onboarding process. I started it, but I didn't get to finish it. So I basically just dove right into this project that the company had been working on for a year and a half, which they were not able to release in a year and a half. And they were asking me to launch it in 1 month of after joining. So I did speak to my boss, and I told her 1 month is not possible, but I might be able to do it in 2 months. And of course, I did achieve that goal. I did launch that product or that project in within 2 months. It was less than 2 months of me joining, and I launched it on time and without any issues. Everything went smoothly. There were no bugs. There were no issues whatsoever. But because I dimmed my own light, because the whole time, because I was sick and I didn't know it, I was not confident in what I was doing. I didn't talk about my achievements. I didn't talk about how much I'm doing for the company. I didn't talk about the fact that I'm working every Friday, which we were supposed to have off at Dolby. And I didn't really talk about all the work that I'm putting in to make this project happen within 2 months of me joining. So when the project went well and it got launched, all these people got credit for this job that I had done. And when I asked, and I did get credit as well, but my name was like in the middle of the list of names that were there. And when I asked my boss why I'm not at the top of the list, because I knew that I'm the one that made this happen. And I knew that without me, there is no way that this project would have gotten launched. And she told me, because you didn't contribute to the content. And I was so baffled by that, because I'm like, what? What? My job is not about the content. That is not my job at all. My job is to make sure that the project is released on time without any issues. And so I was just really baffled by that. But now, knowing what I know today, I realize that that is because I dimmed my own light. And so therefore, other people in my team followed suit. So I'm hoping that by sharing this story with you, it helps you to make sure that you never dim your light, because not only will you dim your light for yourself, but then you will allow others to do that for you as well. So I'm hoping that this really helps you not to make the same mistake that I've made. Then it's really important that you show your child that he or she is not alone in this. As HSPs, we often feel alone because the majority of the population around us are non highly sensitive people. So, as you know, 80% of the population is not highly sensitive. So it's really helpful if you are a highly sensitive person to let your child know, and to let them know that they're not alone in this. And also to let them know that 20% of the population is also highly sensitive. So not only you're a source of role model for them, but there are 20% of the population that also have this personality trait. For a highly sensitive parent, self care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Taking time to recharge and engage in activities that soothe and replenish energy is a must and key to success in all aspects of your life. This is not only beneficial to you as a parent, but it also plays as you can play as a role model for healthy self-care practices for your child. Prioritize alone time and don't feel guilty about it. Really enjoy your time and time alone, and do whatever it is that recharges you and brings joy to your life. Create a peaceful and predictable home environment. Since highly sensitive individuals are more affected by their surroundings, creating a calm and organized home space can be very beneficial. Do somatic exercises. This has been such a blessing for me. Learning to do these somatic exercises has helped me regulate my nervous system on a daily basis, and it really proved to be successful and beneficial when I had my family over for Christmas and my parents arrived 2.5 hours in advance of the scheduled time, and they arrived hungry. The old me would have freaked out. I would have been like in overwhelm um, mood, and I would stay in that overwhelmed mood the whole time. But they knew me because of these somatic exercises. I was able to remain calm and to just not let it bother me. And my nervous system was completely regulated. And then you want to set boundaries and make sure you stick to them. Just setting boundaries by itself is not enough. Just make sure that you stick to your boundaries and people respect your boundaries. And then become more clear about what you want and take power. What this looks like is that if you're cold, for example, in the car, you can let whoever is with you know that you're cold, and don't stop there. Don't make them like figure out what it is that you need. Tell them exactly what you need to be comfortable, whether that's them rolling up the windows or turning on the heat, whatever it is that you need, be specific and clear about what your request is. And then be proactive. Like, I have sensitivity to loud sounds, so I carry earplugs with me everywhere I go. Lastly, connect with other highly sensitive people. As you know, I'm putting a community together to form a community online where people gather and share their experiences and talk about what is going on in their life and get gain guidance and support from other highly sensitive people. So you're more than welcome to join this community, or you can form your own community, or get other support groups, or find friends that are also highly sensitive. That's been proven to be extremely helpful for me. So now to the exciting part of our podcast today. We have my handsome brother, Pej Vahdat, joining us as our guest. As you know, sensitivity knows no gender, yet social norms and stereotypes can sometimes make it challenging for men to express their emotions openly, to be comfortable with their inherent sensitivities. However, today we'll hear stories of resilience, authenticity from a highly sensitive man who is navigating this terrain. We'll explore how he has learned and to harness his sensitivity to create meaningful connections, both in his personal life and his professional life. Thank you so much, Pej, for joining. I love you so
I
much,
love
and
you too.
I'm so honored that you are here with me as my guest.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and share with us about your experience being a highly sensitive man.
Okay. What would you like to know?
Whatever you're comfortable sharing, whatever you think would be
I
beneficial to
think
our listeners.
I think that for me it was something I've fought with my whole life. I didn't really recognize it when I was younger what it was, but I realized it was always there's a lot of, like, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of butterflies in my stomach all the time, and that would manifest itself in anxiety or um, worrying about other people. I mean, when I was a kid, I was always worried that our parents would pass away if I was a bad kid, and that's sometimes due to what they would say that caused it. But it just manifested itself in different ways throughout my childhood, and then grew throughout my adulthood. In my relationship with my partner right now, even my siblings, my friends, everything. So I find myself always worried about how other people feel over how I feel. So I can handle anything as long as they are not upset or worried, and that's where my sensitivity really, really went to a dangerous level.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that you got the support that you needed from your parents when you were little and throughout your life?
I think that I got. Yeah, I was lucky. My parents were really good with me. I don't think they knew. It wasn't any of like a lack of being a parent. It was just like raising a child in this country, and essentially I was the last kid. So my siblings, yourself and my brother, were 12 and 11 years older than me, and pretty much in a different stage of life. So I had like four parents essentially. But I think my parents did their best they could. They didn't. It wasn't. You hear about parents not being the best parents or not being supportive. My parents were always supportive. I just don't think they understood how some comments or some things they would do or say could affect a highly sensitive child. And it wasn't it wasn't out of malice or any, it was just out of not knowing.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely.
So other than that, no, I had it pretty good with them.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Can you share some personal experiences that highlight how your high sensitivity has influenced your life, relationships, and career?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Sure. Can you share
Mm-hmm.
some personal experiences that highlight how your high sensitivity has influenced your life, relationships, and career?
Oh, sure. Well, I can tell you my relationship was my sensitivity would cause a lot of arguments because I would take everything so personally, or I would take and still do take people's words at face value. Um, I think my sensitivity when people talk to me, when say something, whether it's a flippant comment or something, my mind takes it to that place where they're threatening it to go. and worry about, the consequences, or without getting specific. But if someone told me, I'm going to go do this now, I wouldn't just let it go. I would think, oh my God, if they go do that, what am I going to do?
Mhm.
So I think my sensitivity, it had to be harnessed now at this, I'm 42, and, through therapy and all the things I go through. You have to take things in, try to weed out, where your mind, try to slow down your mind and where it goes, where it's taking you, because logically most of those things aren't true. But yeah, it's a lot better now with my partner, because I don't take everything like that anymore as much as I can. Um, yeah, it's a work in progress, but I think what's happened, the older I get, the more I realize, let's take a beat. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. It's not what they're saying. It's hard to explain that without being
Mhm.
personal or
No,
specific,
no, I
because it's
totally
not there. It's
understand.
not just my journey. So it's other
Yeah.
people's conversations. But
And I also totally understand, because as you're speaking, what I'm thinking is this is exactly a part of being highly sensitive, because we are so critical of ourselves and we try so hard to be the best version of ourselves, and we tend to be perfectionists.
mhm,
And so, how that shows up is when somebody criticizes us, even if it's not a criticism, but it sounds like a
mhm,
criticism to us, then we get it's a lot for us to take that in, because we are so careful about being the best version of ourselves and doing the best that we can in life, whether that's in a relationship or whether that's at work. Um, so that I totally understand what you're saying, and it's definitely an aspect of being highly sensitive.
yeah,
Tell us a little bit about your career. As you know, highly sensitive people tend to be extremely creative people,
mhm,
whether that's being a painter, like an artist. In your case, you're an actor. Tell
mhm.
us about how that your high sensitivity plays a role in your career.
Well, I think it's the one blessing from being so sensitive, is that I can harness emotion that I'm for other characters, right? So if I'm playing a character that's going through something, I can really feel what that feeling is deeply, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I can get there relatively fast because of how sensitive I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I put myself in people's shoes all day, all the time. My girlfriend's a physician, and she would tell me stories about, because she's an oncologist, and she would tell me about a patient. And she told me about this guy 4 years ago. I can't stop thinking about him.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, she has not told me other
Yeah.
stories, because I keep thinking, what's he going through? Is he okay?
Yeah.
Oh my God, da, da, da. And to take that back to my career, is like, when you play a character, that the sensitivity helps me get to whatever emotion I think that specific character is going through at the moment in the
Mm-hmm.
scene. So it's helped me I think that's a big reason I am where I am, is because of how quickly I can get to those emotions.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that patient, it reminds me of earlier in the show, I said that we take empathy to the next level.
Hmm.
This is exactly what I was talking about. That,
Hmm.
where if you compare a non-sensitive person who is empathetic to a sensitive person who is empathetic, their empathy levels are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you see your sensitivity as a gift or something to be ashamed of?
Oh, I would never say it's something I'm ashamed of. That's for sure. I don't know if it's a gift. I think it's definitely not something to be ashamed of. But as far as a gift goes, sometimes when I'm working, I think it's a gift. But the other times when I'm having massive anxiety attacks, I think it's a detriment to my health. But no, no, definitely not. I can unequivocally say it's not something I'm ashamed of, for sure.
That's amazing. I'm really proud of you for doing that, for saying that, because it's really important. A lot of people who are highly sensitive,
Hmm.
don't want to admit that they're highly sensitive because they're so ashamed of it, and
Mhm.
they haven't taken the time to see the gifts of being highly sensitive. And so I'm really grateful that at least you don't see it as something to be ashamed of.
No, definitely not.
Um, embracing embracing one's sensitivity can be a journey of self-acceptance. What advice do you have for other highly sensitive men who may be struggling with self-acceptance?
Hmm. Oh man, I mean, men today are all messed up. They're, I think, especially like cisgendered men have a real problem admitting to all the trauma they've gone through in their life, or men in general, not cis, just all men in general, because society makes men feel like you can't be sensitive or you can't talk about your feelings or have any sort of anxiety. You have to be strong, all that stuff. So what I do tell men now is, A, go see a therapist, and it's okay. It's actually good for you. And B, the more you embrace it and the more you're talking about it, the more you realize how many other people have the same feelings. I mean, when I played tennis when I was a young kid in college and little pro tennis. And I grew up with a player who is very prominent. He's a big star. And he recently came out with a um, documentary about his anxiety attacks and the same ones I had when I was playing, but he never talked about it when we were playing. I never talked about it when we were playing. But you realize if we would talk about it, then maybe we could have helped each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I would say is be more vocal about it, be open about it. Anyone who judges somebody for being sensitive isn't someone you want in your life anyhow. So to me, it's just more about owning it, being, yeah, you should be proud of being sensitive. It's a good thing to be sensitive and have empathy. I mean, to your health's detriment, no, and that's where you get help. But I'd rather be sensitive than not.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. What would you like to see change in society's perception and expectation of masculinity and sensitivity?
Society's
Yes.
perception.
Hmm.
Mm, I guess I would want society to be more. I don't know if it's society or if it's just men in general need to realize that it's not something to be ashamed of to be sensitive. It's not something to be like, it's not, doesn't take away from your masculinity that you're sensitive. In fact, I think it makes you more masculine, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It makes you tougher, actually.
Absolutely.
I think I think people who are like quote unquote tough guys are actually really sensitive,
Hmm.
because they have so much sensitivity. They haven't talked about it that they get angry and use it in a physical manner. So maybe that would help take the anger out of society from men who are angry,
Hmm.
So I would want that. It's not about society. It's more about personal people, I think. Maybe in different, I mean, I grew up in a pretty liberal area, so I don't know if that's the issue, but I think throughout the country, I've talked to dudes, who they're shocked when I'm so open about it. Maybe because I come off as a, quote unquote, like jock or whatever. And when I talk about it, they are a little thrown aback by it because I'm not insecure by my sensitivity at all
Hmm.
anymore. So I think the more men talk to each other, and I think that's the key. The key is for men to be more open about their feelings, about their sensitivities, about getting help, about everything. And that would help a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
As we wrap up, what words of wisdom or encouragement do you have for our listeners, especially for parents of highly sensitive boys
Mm.
seeking to set their child up for success in life?
Sensitive boys. I would say definitely don't discourage their sensitivity. Definitely be more accepting. Um, I don't think it's a bad thing for for boys to be sensitive at all. I think it's going to help in their future, in their life, in their partnership, whether it's a man or a woman they're in love with, or they, them. I think that parents need to be more open and talk to their kids, especially, not just boys and girls too, but, you know, the more parents communicate with their children without judgment, the more their kids can thrive in this society, because there's a lot of judgment as they grow up.
That's absolutely right.
At the same time, make sure that we're not coddling our children, in my opinion, because the world is scary and it can be tough, and not everyone's going to be there to coddle you. So, it's a fine balance. I'm not a parent yet, so I don't know. I think I would do that. I think I would be pretty open and honest, but at the same time, not coddle them to the point where they have no I don't know what the word is, but being out in life when they're adults, they need to, have a little bit of a thick skin. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pej, for being
My
on this
pleasure.
episode.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Likewise.
And I love you so much.
Love you too.
As we close this episode, I want to remind you that you have the power to create a bright and successful future for your highly sensitive child. Embrace their uniqueness, nurture their strengths, and provide them with the love and support they need. Together, we can pave a path to success that aligns with their sensitivity. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. We'll be here with more insights and inspiration in our next episode. Until then, keep believing in your child's potential, because they truly are extraordinary. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay committed to setting your child up for success in life. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com.